Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Health Wealth Podcast. This week we have a moving, emotional, honest, very deep episode coming for you. We're talking this week to Taylor, who has recently recovered from gambling addiction, and it's a really raw, really honest look at his story. It's powerful, it's amazing, it's a moving story, and hopefully it's going to really touch and speak to a lot of people that are in a position similar to that Taylor was in, and that he was eventually able to get out of, and he's now on the road to recovery and looking to help other people. So it's an interesting episode. Definitely listen to the whole thing. You're really going to enjoy it, and the aim of it is that it's going to help some people, and that's what the podcast is about. And also, for helping people, we have our community, which is up and running. And if you're looking for help with your physical health, with your mental health, with anything else, sign up to our community. It's completely free. The link's in the description, and we're working there to support each other and to get to better health. But right now, let's jump on into the show. So, Taylor, welcome to the show. Do you want to just first give us a little introduction to yourself?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me, Ryan. I'm Taylor. I'm 30 years old, from Bedfordshire, and yeah, I'm in recovery for gambling, for a gambling addiction that started gambling when I was about 14 years old, and never really saw it as a problem then. But yeah, I've been gambling for over half of my life, really, and until things took a bit of a turn late last year, and I got myself into recovery.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear that you've got yourself into recovery, that you're taking those steps. That's really good to hear, and well done for that. That's a tough step to take. I mean, 14 is young, isn't it? What did you start with when you were gambling at 14? What is it you were doing?
So the first, so yeah, as I say, I grew up in Bedfordshire, and uh, grew up with living with my mum, my dad, my brother, and my sister, and yeah, really, from what I can remember, really good. Like we was a close family. My dad had his own building company, and as typical builders, he used to finish work, and he would go to the pub with the blokes that worked with him. And my bonding time become with my dad. I'd finish school and I'd go to the pub with my dad. I can remember at a young age, probably younger than 14, being like fascinated by the fruit machines, like the lights on the fruit machines. If the lads were playing on it, I'd always want to be pressing the buttons for them. And I can actually remember, when I started thinking back, I can actually remember getting frustrated if they wouldn't let me press the buttons. Um, but going but going forward, that fruit machines is never something that really appealed to me with my gambling. But but yeah, I can remember being frustrated. And then I then discovered that I really liked. I think probably just from growing up around in pubs and that, I really like playing. I really like playing pool, and something that I ended up playing at a quite decent level for. I played for my county at pool, and growing up around in pubs, I was always wanted to be on the pool table. Discovered that I was actually quite good at it, and then it got to a stage where I wouldn't actually mind playing for money because I weren't too bad at it, and it was a way of getting a little bit of extra money. But we're talking about 14, placing my first bet. I I placed my first bet on a football coupon. Um, Older brother, he's 6 years older than me. My brother was doing it. At the time, my brother was sort of like my best friend. I looked up to my brother. Always wanted to be doing whatever he was doing, and I discovered that he was into his football bet. So I wanted to have a go. And yeah, it was very low. It was very low stakes. Just want to get it out there. I never ever blame my brother for my gambling addiction. Um, but I placed my first bet on at 14, low stakes. I think it was about a £2 bet, and I won. And it won. I think I can remember it was about £44. The excitement, like I didn't. I weren't getting 40. I weren't getting £40 off my mum and dad pocket money. Do you know what I mean? It was like wow, and I just remember like the buzz, the excitement, the I couldn't wait to do it again the next week. Do you know what I mean? And then that's what I was doing for some time really. Growing up, I was always doing my football bets. Can remember the disappointment, the frustration if it didn't win, and yeah, and it continued to cycle like that. Like at that time, you never really see that as a problem. Do you know what I mean? It's a couple of quid, and you never really see it as a problem.
Yeah, definitely. I remember growing up that guys around that age were all placing the bets on the football. And like you say, it seemed very harmless. Just, they throw a couple quid in there, a couple quid in there, and it does seem completely harmless. But like you say, you get that dopamine rush, which that in itself can become a little bit addictive. Did it take long for it to become a bit more of an issue? Was it quite a long period where you were just doing maybe a couple of quid a weekend on the football? How did it kind of progress for you?
Yeah, so I'd say it was. I say that continued for a couple of years. When I was around about 16, so my brother was really into his horse racing, and he loves his horse racing. So again, always wanting to be like around my brother, always wanting to be sort of like similar to him in a way. I started questioning like what he was how he was placing his bets on his horse racing. He would show me what he was doing, like with in the papers and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, I wouldn't mind having a go on this. Again, sort of low stakes, and it didn't take too long to sort of kind of like get the hang of what he was actually doing and being able to sort of sit down and do it myself. And grew up in an area where sort of quite well known, quite well known. My brother was quite a popular guy, and everyone, and sort of like as I was growing up, all like sort of older people knew me because of my brother, and the local bookmakers wasn't that far away. I could walk there in 5 minutes, and it literally got to a stage where I didn't even have to talk to my brother about if I wanted to place a bet. I didn't have to talk to my brother about I want to go and do that. All it took was is a a walk to the shops, and obviously you can't enter a bookies until you're 18. But all it took was a knock on the window, and someone in there would know me, and it would be like, it's Taylor, and they would come out, take the slips off me, take the money off me, and they'd go and place the bets for me,
Mm.
and that's how easy it was. And again, that was going on. That was going on for some time. So then, fast forwarding to 18, and I look back now, and it was like, wow, my whole life had changed. Like I was now allowed to step into a bookmaker's, and just that buzz. You could. I'm pretty sure. Oh, I don't. I might be wrong. When I first stepped into the bookmakers, I'm not too sure if they could still. Well, I'm not too sure if they could still smoke in there or not. But I just remember like the buzz of being around the older blokes sitting there with their papers, rolling their fags up, talking about the horses and stuff like that. And to most people around my age, they'd be like, "What excitement are you getting out of that?" For me, it was a massive buzz. It was a massive buzz. I loved it. I loved myself getting more and more into horse racing. But when I look back now, I can remember I spent near enough all my free time in there. Um, it weren't too long until all my wages that I was earning were going in the bookmakers, and to be honest, I didn't care. I didn't care. I'll be honest. I was in a job where I was earning very good money for what for my age, and I got paid weekly, and I think I just had that thought process of I don't really care if I lose all my money because I've only got to wait a few more days to get paid again. And that is the God's honest truth of literally like how it was going for me. And yeah, and I can remember one night, I can remember it so clear. It was a Sunday night, and the bookies used to, I don't know what it is now, but the bookies used to shut at 10 o'clock at night. And I was probably still in there at 9:30. I was the only one. I was the only one in there. And my brother had come down to that parade of shops to get something with his missus and whatnot. And I remember him sticking his head in the door and was like, "What are you doing? Like, don't be spending all your time in here. Like, that ain't good." And it was sort of like, yeah, I'm going in a minute. But I didn't care. I didn't actually care. It was in one ear, out the other. And I would have stayed there until 12 o'clock if it was open till 12 o'clock. And it went like that for some time.
Was it just, do you think it was, I mean, did you win much? Was it the buzz of winning that you liked, or was it just the buzz of the whole thing, the adrenaline rush that you really attracted you to it?
Um, I think a bit of both. Obviously, when you're in, when you're sort of in that moment of betting and stuff, like everyone loves winning, and no one wants to lose. But I think I think it was a bit of both. The buzz of being in there, especially like on a Saturday. Like I'm not too sure what it's like now, but back then it was busy in there on a Saturday. On a Sunday, it was very busy in there, and the buzz of being there around everyone, just talking about it. Having debates. Nah, that one ain't got a chance. This one ain't, like having that debate with people, and then and then obviously, yeah, the buzz of winning, but also like with the buzz of winning becomes the disaster of losing.
Yeah.
And I can remember many a times losing my money. I was quite I never really got angry like inside. I never got angry inside the shop if I lost. I managed to be able to keep it inside of me. But there was many a times where I knew that I'd lost all my money, and the heart beating so fast, everything inside you's like come crashing down. And I'd managed to sort of take myself out of the shop, go home, and I can just remember sitting in my room, like just wanting to pull my hair out, really, like just feeling really, really frustrated.
Yeah. Was it more of like an anger, frustrating feeling, or was it sort of a depressed, down, sad feeling?
Depressed, down, sad feeling. Although like I just touched on, it was sort of like I've only got to wait a few days to get my money.
Yeah.
I've now got no money. So how am I gonna explain to like my dad, who I'm living with at the time, like I ain't even got no money to buy anything for lunch this week. I'm on good money. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
I've lost all my money, and how, like, do you know what I mean? How am I gonna do? How am I gonna do that? Sometimes it would be like, oh, have you got that rent money because you didn't pay it on Friday? And it'd be like, how am I gonna explain this? And I was so when I look back now, I was hiding it from a young age. I was hiding it from a young age. And then I'd probably say by the age of 20, I was racking up overdrafts.
Mm.
I was racking up overdrafts with my bank, and then got to the stage where obviously I'd racked that up and then hadn't got enough money. Again, lost all my money. You can't get it. I've maxed that overdraft out. What do I do? Kind of like it was kind of like a cry for help. So I kind of just like explained to like my mum and dad that like um, I've I've lost all my money gambling. I'm not again. I'm not going to do it again. I can remember different occasions where my mum and dad had took me down to the bank. They'd cleared the overdraft, but that was just like a get out of jail free card for me. Really, like I was with it on in 48 hours. That overdraft was maxed back out, and then you're hiding it again. You're hiding everything. Um, I can remember a bank statement coming through the door. This was like, yeah, like 2021. I can remember a bank statement coming from a door, and obviously as a parent, my dad was worried about me. He had an instinct of what was going on. He looked at that bank statement, and to me, that was just like well, I ain't letting you look at that again. So I rang up the bank and told them I'll just do it online. I don't want no bank statements coming through the door. Do you know what I mean? That was my thought process. The thought process weren't like they're trying to help me. Yeah, it was just like, nah, I ain't having that. So ring them up. I don't want nothing coming through the door. Just any easiest way to keep it hidden that I possibly could.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. How did it, obviously, you were young at that time. You said you were 18, 20, 21. Obviously, at that age, you're out and about with your mates and you're doing stuff. How was it with them? Were your mates also into that? Did you kind of keep it hidden from them as well? How did it affect your relationships?
None of my mates really liked horse racing. They liked having a bet on the football, and I
Mhm.
liked having a bet on the football as well. But they would, what I would call is, they would have a bet, and if they lost, it was only a fiver or a tenner. Do you know what I mean? And they carry on about their day. With me, I I couldn't accept losing. I had to get that money back, and so they they kind of knew that I was well into my gambling, but I could. There was times where I could be sat at a pub with them, and we're going for a day out or a night out, and I could have just lost a large amount of money, but I would never tell them. I would never ever. I'd never ever tell them. Never ever tell people how much money I was betting or how much money I was losing. I was very secretive about that. Um, but there would be so many times where I always touch on it. My friends in your group chats and stuff like that. We had a solid group of friends that we went to every school year with each other, and we're still close now. And but there'd be so many times that I could be sat in the bookies on a Saturday, like losing all my money, and then one of them would put in the group chat, "Oh, anyone fancy coming out tonight on a night out?" And it would always be just as I just lost all my money, that happened a good few times, and it'd be like you you're feeling you're feeling depressed, you're feeling down because you've just lost all your money, and now you're thinking, I can't even go out on a night out now because I've just literally lost everything. And that happened quite a good few times, and you tell yourself these stupid lies. You say, like, I ain't doing that again. I can't do that again. Once the addiction takes over, even looking back then, when I was still not ready to admit that I had a problem, you look back then, like, you're just telling yourself lies. You know that you're going to go back there the next week when you get your money again, and that just carried on in a vicious circle for a very long time.
Hi guys, now I don't promote many products because most of them are just pure marketing and I'm not going to recommend anything that I don't personally believe in. However, when I do find a good product, then I'm more than happy to share it with you all. So I'm excited to share Hazard Toys. They're combining fitness and fun for your little ones. Hazard Toys specialises in soft, plush, fitness-themed toys for newborns and up. These adorable toys promote healthy habits early on with plush, dumbbells and kettlebells that are perfect for tiny hands. Each toy includes a small rattle, which is fantastic for sensory development and keeping little ones entertained, and Hazard Toys integrates physical activity into playtime, enhancing motor skills and coordination. So we've teamed up with Hazard Toys for an exclusive offer. You can use the code HEALTH10 for 10% off any toy or bundle. You get free speedy UK delivery from the local warehouses, and you can get a free ebook, Dreams of Pink Plant Woods, with every purchase. So don't miss out and use the code HEALTH10 today. Yeah. When you're betting and if you started losing money, did you kind of have that attitude of, I'll win it back on the next one, I'd win it back, or even when you ran out of money, you're like, well, next week I'll win it back. Was that your kind of thought process in your head with it?
Yeah, when I start losing all my money and stuff like that. So I can remember my thought process would be, you need to you need to dig deeper here. You need to start studying more. You need to start studying more. So soon as a lot of people probably won't know this, but soon as like the declarations would come out for horses to be running at the weekend, I'd be looking at the cards on like a Wednesday. I'd be looking at the races, and I'd be trying to like study the form, study what horses are racing, and just spending a lot of my time on that. And sometimes it would pay off. I could do all that studying, and then come the Saturday, whatever race that was, I could put a large amount of money on it. It would come in. But I think my problem was discipline. I had no discipline after that. So where you just taken all them days reading the form, doing all that, I had no discipline after. If that horse then won, my mindset was, I've just won that, and then I'm betting on everything. I'm betting on every horse race that comes next. Like within half an hour, there's 4 races. I'm betting on all of it, and the thought process just that whole discipline just goes out the window. And I mean, yeah, that was going on for a long time. I mean, during it was there was relationships going on. I was both relationships I lost because of gambling. Just I think they just sort of like with I think with addiction and hiding addiction becomes a lot of lies. You're lying about what your money's going on. You're lying about where you are because you're at the bookies all the time. And I think it just got to the point where it was just like the relationships I was in, like all my money was going on gambling, and I never had no money to go out and socialize with the partner, or if my partner wanted to go out with their friends and me, like I never had the money. Like might be the odd time where you've got that win and you feel like you're on top of the world. Yeah, come on, we'll go out, and you're splashing your money everywhere. But then the next day you're just back to gambling and you're losing it all again. And yeah, it was just going around like that for years, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the thing with the addiction, isn't it? You lose that control, don't you, with all types of addictions, and you don't have that. And as you said, again, with all addictions, there's always that just sort of doing whatever it takes to be able to keep doing it, and hiding it from everyone and lying about it. With your, you mentioned when the statement came through, and maybe your dad saw it. What did they confront you about this? How did they react with what was going on? They must have had maybe an inkling what was going on, did they?
Yeah, yeah. So I can remember, um, walking in from work, and my dad's like, as a kid, like my dad used to always say to me, "Listen, tell me the truth, and I won't be angry with you." And I can remember walking in, and the statement was on the table where he used to sat in the kitchen and have his coffee and stuff. And I remember walking in from work, and he basically just said, like, explain that kind of thing. And I was just kind of like, yeah, I've got caught up in gambling. It's not, yeah, I've lost all the money, but it's not really a problem. Like I've stopped doing it now. I've stopped doing it. I knew it was silly, and kind of just bullshitting with what they want to hear, really. Because and you know what? For a few days, I think they're like, yeah, you got to stop this. You got to stop that. You tell them, yeah, I'm going to stop it. And I think for a few days there is that bit of guilt there,
Mm.
but then after a few days, that guilt just goes. You go back to doing it. You go back to doing it, and yeah, it's just back to square one, really. And then it got to the stage where one bank account weren't enough, so I needed another bank account. And I can remember my thought process was, right, I've racked up an overdraft with that bank account. Right, I'm going to open another bank account. I'm going to get my wages paid into there, and then every time I get my wages, I'm going to slowly start paying off this overdraft. Within weeks, that new bank account was racked up with an overdraft, and it was just it was relentless. It was honestly relentless. You're trying to like, I never put my all into the work that I was doing, because I'm sneaking off around the corner, even at work, watching a horse race on my phone. Like, just my head ain't in work. My head's gambling, and like I'm not listening to what anyone's trying to tell me at work. I'm sneaking off to the toilet, like, and that was pretty much going on all the time. Even if I was going out, whether it be a family meal, out for a night out with my mates, I'd always be sneaking off to the toilet to watch a race on my phone, and that's because I never wanted them to know what I was betting on or how much I was betting on, because as soon as they see that, that I never wanted to be questioned. I never wanted to be questioned on, well, how much have you put on that, or how much have you just lost, or how much have you just won? And it was it became a big secret quite quickly with me, Ryan, with my betting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a key kind of component of a lot of addiction is that hiding it. And obviously then it's harder to probably, I imagine, to get the help. Within extended family, I've been around people addicted mainly to drink, as opposed to gambling. But you find that there's the lie-in, there's the secrecy, and all of that, and it makes it hard to get through to these people. Um, so obviously you said you were sort of early 20s then. How did it go from there? Did it continue to gradually get worse? Were there any periods where you did cut back on it successfully, or was it just a steady decline?
It was a steady decline, to be honest with you, Ryan. There wasn't really a time that I cut back on it. I'd say moving forward towards late 20s, it started to get really bad. To be fair, I was in I was in another relationship, um, a long distance relationship. She lived in Wales, and I was so all my money was basically sort of, well, kind of going to Wales every Friday once I finished work, getting on the train, going to Wales, and then having to have funds to do what I wanted to do in Wales that weekend. But I would honestly, by the time I was halfway from Paddington in London to Wales, I'd say 3 weeks out of the four in the month, my my wages were gone by the time I hit Wales,
Oh,
and then it would be like, shit, how can I get money now? And then I think that was honestly the start of a lot of lies, a lot of borrowing money, um, and lying to people to why I wanted money, like why I needed money, really. Um, I could make up the stupidest, the ridiculous amount of lies to get money and tell people whatever they needed to hear, to get money. Do you know what I mean? And with that, like I say, coming towards late 20s, I started I started realizing that I touched on earlier that I grew up with a group of friends that we went through every school year together. I was starting to lose friends.
hmm.
I was starting to lose friends because I'm lying for money, borrowing money, and then the next week is kind of like, I've got to pay them back. I want money to gamble, and I need to go to Wales. How am I going to fix? How am I going to get all this in? And then the easiest thing for me was, I need money to gamble. I need to go to Wales. So it'd be lie and just say, for example, like, I haven't been paid. They've mucked up the wages. It's going to be there on Tuesday. Tuesday, the money's never coming. I've got the money now, but I'm just telling them, like, um, I would like, do you know what I mean? I'd write, I'd go to the extent of writing messages to myself, pretending it was from my boss.
Mhm.
So just to try and make them believe it. Do you know what I mean? Buy me a bit of time. I might win that money at the weekend. Oh, look, got the money. Bang, there you go. It never really worked. It never really worked like that. And I started to lose friends. Yeah, I'd be. It got to the stage where I'd be lying to, like, I'd lie to my friends about um, events coming up. Events coming up. I've got tickets for this. I've got tickets for that. And yeah, do you fancy coming? Yeah, yeah, of course, wicked. All right, well, it's XYZ amount of money, and yeah, just ping that money over to me. And then by the time the event had come up, I already knew 6 weeks ago that we weren't going. Then you've got to make up a lie to why you're not going, and try and give them that money back. And that was happening a lot. That was happening a lot. And in the end, it was just kind of like, do you know what? I don't even know what's happened to you, Tay, but I'm out. Like, I don't even want to be friends with you no more. Started losing friends rapidly, to be honest, Ryan. I was quite a popular guy, and I started losing friends rapidly. I think it was February the 16th of February 2022. I just couldn't see a way out. I could not see a way out. I'd upset so many people and like hurt so many people that I can remember being at my mate's the night before, and I was still hiding everything, like I was fine. I was at my mate's house the night before, and I went home. I went home to I went back to my dad's that night, and I just remember I can just remember saying to myself like, I don't want to be here no more. Like I genuinely, it's got that bad. I probably didn't touch on it enough there, but I owed so many people money, so many different people money. There weren't going without getting messages saying like, getting my money, when's my money coming back and stuff like that. And that's putting that in a nice way there. Like the messages weren't the messages weren't nice. And I look back now, I don't. Why would they be nice? You know what I mean? You've taken the piss out of so many people. Why would they be nice? And you're lying, making up excuses to why, when they're going to get their money. And I just remember thinking to myself, I can't go on like this, and I don't know how things are going to get better. And I thought to myself, I was in such a low place, and I thought to myself, do you know what? The only way to get out of this is just to end it all. And I woke up that next morning, and I just thought, this is it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm out of it. And I don't know if it was like, I don't know if it was like, I don't know if it was what we'd call like a fake attempt or not. Maybe I shit myself. I don't know, but I just thought to myself, I'm taking myself to that shopping centre, and I'm gone. I'm off the top of the car park. I'm gone, and I still think to this day now that when close friends and family like hear that, I still sometimes think that they don't actually believe it. I know in myself that day I wanted to go. I wanted to go. There was no, and I'd never ever felt like that before. I've never ever felt like that before. But I got myself in such a mess that that was my only way. And yeah, I took myself to that shopping centre, and I remember getting to the top, and I just broke down in tears. I just broke down in tears, and a couple of people see me there. They spoke to me, and I managed to go to the police station. I'd sent my mum and dad. My mum and dad. By this time, my mum and dad had been split up for some time. But I sent them both a message, basically saying like, "Look, I'm in a hell of a mess. I can't carry on no more. I'm sick of letting everyone down, letting all my friends down, letting mainly you two down." And I said like, "This is it. Like, I'm sorry, I'm done." And I didn't actually realize how. I don't think I realised that at the time, because I was just so tunnel vision of just going to that shopping centre, and there was everyone out looking for me. The police were out looking for me and whatnot. And I just remember speaking to these people, and like they managed to calm me down a little bit. And I went to the police station, and once the two police officers come out, they kind of just said like, "Wow, like, do you know how many people are out looking for you? Like, there's helicopters out looking for you, everything." And I don't think it hit home till then. I don't think it hit home then. Like, just getting goosebumps now talking about it. Like, I don't feel like it hit home then. But the truth is, I managed to speak to my mum, my dad, who come to the police station. I went home with my mum that night, and we managed to have a good chat. The truth is, it didn't stop there. It didn't stop. I went back gambling. I went back gambling probably a week later. Honestly, a week later, I went back gambling, and again hiding it. Like I went back gambling, and that is the God's honest truth. And then again, it got to that stage of back in that circle of lying to friends why I needed money, what was going on, and to be honest, I still hadn't even paid everyone that I owed money back from the previous time, and then it was just like, how can I help myself here? The thing is, with addiction, unless I think it's hard for loved ones and close friends to fully understand what you're going through if they've never been through it themselves. Because I'll be honest, my mum used to just turn around to me and say, "You're fucking stupid," and it would just be like, I can't just stop. I cannot stop. I'd even tried a few things, putting them on my phone, putting bands on my phones and that. It didn't stop me. I would just walk to a bookies where I wouldn't really know anyone and just go in there quickly, put my bets on, walk out, and then go and sit in a park and watch the racing. Like that's what it got to me. I become very lonely. I become a very lonely person. And because you know what it's like, where from wherever you live, everyone knows each other, and there'd be and people talk, and people would probably been saying like, have you seen him? He's like, he still owes me money. He still owes this, and it becomes very lonely. You end up not wanting to see anyone and whatnot. So I become very isolated by myself, and I kind of learned to think, oh, do you know what? That's all right. I don't mind being by myself. If I ain't got to pay that money back, I don't mind. It's not the right way to go about things. And yeah, and then fast forward, fast forward again, and another year, January 23, it got to that same stage, and it was like, I don't want to. It got to that stage where I weren't even waking up during the day. I'd be going to sleep when it was dark, and I'd be waking up when it was dark. And it got to that stage where it was like, I wouldn't say as much wanting to go and kill myself, but it got to the stage where I genuinely didn't want to wake up. I don't know if there's a difference there, but it was genuinely like, I just felt drained every time I woke up. I knew I'd be getting messages on my phone. I want my money. I want this money. I want that. And it just got draining. And I was getting very low thoughts. I was getting very low thoughts, and I just, it was sort of. I'll be honest. There was a bit of a cry out for help. Like I need help here, and I ended up getting sectioned into a mental health institution for 2 weeks, and I got put in there. No, for just over 2 weeks, and I got put in there, and I thought to myself, like, this is it now. Like, you've really got to make a change. You've really got to make a change. You've got to get out of here, get yourself straight, start paying them people back that you owe money. Just be honest. Listen, I can pay you that much amount back. I can pay you that much, but just be honest and really give this a go and try and knock this on the head. When I come out again, a couple of weeks, and I was back to doing it. I was back doing it, and I can remember at the time you sort of think, "Nah, I'm all right. I'll calm down here. I'll still pay people back, but I can live with a little bit. I can live with a little bit, regardless if it was a little bit, whatever. If I ever won, it was just going. It was just going back all on it, and it soon become a time where the money that I was paying people back a little bit, it weren't getting back. It weren't getting paid back, and then I was starting to go very silent again, and then." And yeah, that was going on basically the whole of last year. And then it got to around about September time in 23. And I can remember laying in my bed. And honestly, I had 73p in my bank account. And it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I genuinely can't carry on like this no more. It was the first time that I really thought, and that I really remembered, that I thought to myself, I really want help now. I really, really want help not with like wanting to, the whole like low thoughts and stuff like that about life and stuff like that. That weren't there. That weren't there at all. But I can remember laying in my bed, 73p in my bank, and I remember for once there weren't anyone else telling me about, you need to sort yourself out. There was this thought in my head that I really want help with my gambling. I need help with my gambling because this ain't healthy. This can't carry on. I want to get my life back. And I just typed in on my phone gambling rehab, and an organization come up in Gordon Moody, which are a gambling rehabilitation center, and they asked you to fill in a questionnaire online, and then they said someone will be in contact with you within. I filled that out. They said someone will be in contact with you within. I think it was within 24 hours, but within 7 hours, 9 o'clock in the morning, my phone was ringing. It was them, and the board kind of started rolling them, chatting to people on the phone, while sort of like how deep I was in with this addiction. They offered me residential stay, which was a 14-week program, and I went into rehab on the 13th of November last year, 2023, end of last year, and I came out on the 16th of February this year. But even though I reached out asking for help with the gambling, I was still gambling up to the point of going into rehab. Like that didn't stop. I my last bet to this day was the 11th of November last year. And so up to 2 days before going into rehab, I was still gambling. And I just remember being like, it was kind of like I was ready, I was broken, and I just didn't want to gamble no more. And I remember getting to them doors. It was in the West Midlands in Birmingham. I remember getting to them doors, and there was a lot of emotions going through my body. My mum and my sister had dropped me off, and there was a lot of tears outside. Am I going to go in? Am I not going to go in? And I managed to go in, and I can remember like there was probably about 12 other lads there. There was probably about 12 other lads there at the time, and I remember going to meet everyone, and it was just like I could just feel the weight off my shoulders just drop. Like you start chatting to everyone, you think, wow, these lot are all just like me. They're all exactly just like me, that are sick of the lies, sick of the day-to-day life that we was living. And you chat to some guys and you think, do you know what? We're not actually bad people. We're not bad people. We're ill people and we want to get better. And I just remember thinking, wow, I'm after a few days there, you get your phone taken off you, so you've got no phone. You get your phone for an hour a week, and I just remember thinking, do you know what? Wow, I'm listening to these people in group therapy sessions and stuff, and I'm thinking, I am going to just soak as much as I can in here, because I'm listening to these, and some of these people have been here 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and I can tell that they want to change their life around. They want a better life, and that's where I want to be. That's what I want to be doing. And honestly, it changed my life. It really has changed my life. I was in there over Christmas, which is tough because I love Christmas. I love my family, and even though probably for the last 3, 4, 5 years, got to Christmas time, they were probably pissed off with me because I was getting everything brought to me. I was getting all these presents and stuff, and they'd get the bare minimum of me because Boxing Day, people that know, is a massive day for horse racing, and I couldn't think of anything worse than, I'll be honest, buying expensive presents to give to people, because I wanted all my money to be gambling on Boxing Day. But being in a rehab over Christmas was tough. It was tough, but I knew for that year it was where I needed to be. And yeah, like I say, I feel like, without blowing my own trumpet, I feel like I've done amazing in there. I feel like I've done amazing. I soaked everything up. I listened to what I was being told, the advice I was being given, and I come out in February, and I really feel like I was on the path to being a different person. I mean, don't get me wrong. Before going into rehab, I felt like I was one of them people that felt like, wow, right, I'm going to go in there. When I come out, I'm never ever going to bet again. It ain't as easy as that. It ain't just you take this pill and then you're never gonna gamble again. The the tough work starts when you actually come out, because you're on your own. You're on your own. Yeah, you still attend. I still attend them now. Recovery groups. Still chat to. I still chat to therapists and stuff like that. But the tough work, you're on your own 2 feet. You've got to do. You live a day-to-day life. You're not just surrounded by staff who are there 24 hours in the rehab. You're on your own, and so the tough work started then. And do you know what? I can honestly say, for once in years, I have more better days now than I have bad days. And don't get me wrong, you still get tough days. Everyone gets tough days in life. But actually, I actually go to bed now looking forward to waking up in the morning and living life and speaking to friends. I'm not ashamed to walk down the street now and duck and dive out of people's way. Do you know what I mean? I can honestly say now that, like, some people might not be able to forgive me for what I've done in my past. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, what they think, but I'm okay with that because I admitted that I had a problem, and I managed to pick up the courage to deal with it. I managed to pay back the people that I owed money to, and for me, that's a big thing. I'm proud of myself for that, and now I can honestly say that if if someone don't can't forgive me for my past, that's okay. I'm okay with that. But like I say, I go to bed now. I look forward to waking up in the morning. I look forward to getting on with my life. Um, I'm getting in. I'm getting into that space of working with people with a gambling addiction. It's something that I'm really passionate about. It's something that I'm thriving towards. Um, and yeah, any chance I get to jump on calls or anything with anyone, like, I take it with both hands because I'm so passionate about that. I would never have done that. I'd never have, even with my old job. I've always worked in construction. I'd never be interested in jumping on Zoom or team calls and stuff like that. But this, I got that fire in my stomach. I feel so passionate about it.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a powerful story, and I agree. You completely should be proud of yourself for what you've done and achieved, because turning it around and taking that decision is no easy thing. And I think with addiction, I think what's hard for people around them is you can't help someone with addiction until they're ready to help themselves. Even when you had those people around you and your family that might have wanted to help, it wasn't until you got to that point where you were decided you needed help that was able to be helped. So I think I think that's where family members struggle, is because they want to help you, but you're not ready to be helped, and it's impossible to. So I think it's really hard. And it's great that places like that exist where you went to. Did Was there any particular kind of mindset shifts or things that happened in there, things they taught you that really helped you to start to, change your thought process and your mind to feel that you can overcome this and you can deal with it?
Yeah, one thing that sticks out in my mind is my first. So you do group therapy sessions in there, near enough, yeah, every day. But you also have one-to-one therapy sessions with your therapist that you get given. And once I'd met my therapist, um, I had a chat with her. We sat down, and she said to me, "Do you forgive yourself for your past?" I said, no. I said, I don't. I said, how can I forgive myself for upsetting all close friends that I had, borrowing, stealing money off them, my family and my family? How can I can never forgive myself from that. She said to me, until you forgive yourself, you won't be able to go forward. You won't be able to go
Mm.
forward until you forgive yourself. So she told me to go away, and she told me, she literally just said go away, but yeah, but she told me to go away and have a think about my past, and she told me to write a letter of forgiveness. She told me to write a letter of forgiveness, forgiving myself for my past, but she told me not to write it until I actually mean it.
Mm.
And I sat there for hours. I can remember sitting in my room at my desk. I was sitting there for hours. I kept writing, screwing the paper up, putting it in the bin. How can I do this? Something clicked inside me. And I thought, do you know what? I've thought about it for a long time now. And I thought, do you know what? I do forgive myself because that weren't me. I'm not a bad person. I know I'm not a bad person. I was in deep addiction, and I was ill. And I wrote this letter of forgiveness, forgiving myself for my past. And I brought it to her to the next therapy session, one to one, that I had with her. And we spoke about it. She read it. She said, "Do you honestly forgive yourself?" And I said, "Yeah, I do. I do now." I said, "I honestly forgive myself." She took the letter off me. She went to the office. She come back. She had a lighter in her hand. She burned that letter in front of me. And she said, "That's your past burning away now. Now we work towards your future." And it was powerful. It was powerful. Letter burn away. And she said, "That's your past gone. You forgive yourself. Now we move on. Now we move on to your future." That was early doors in rehab. That was probably like the second week she done that. And yeah, that was something that changed straight away from me, because I kind of automatically had that mindset for the rest of my time. Like, do you know what? I've done them bad things. I hurt them people, but I forgive myself for that. I can forgive myself about that now. I had that mindset straight away from that.
Yeah. No, that's powerful. That is powerful. And that's good. Like you say, if you're not going to forgive yourself, you're going to be beating yourself up over it and you're never gonna move past that. So no, that's amazing. You mentioned that, when the hard work starts when you come out, which is, completely true. And I think why a lot of people with addiction, they go to rehab and everything's great, but then they get out and then it starts going downhill. So, since you've been out, have you been implementing any certain things into your life to help you on that path? How have the people in your life, like family and friends, have they all been supportive? How have you found it?
Um, you say like implement. I say day-to-day routines key for me.
Mm,
I'd say day-to-day routine is key. Even to the small thing of waking up and making your bed. If I don't wake up and make if I wake up and get up and go about my life, but my bed ain't made, question myself, why ain't your bed made? Like a simple task, because towards the end of towards the end when I was in addiction, I could stay in bed all day really. I weren't working. I weren't and to be honest, I was living a very dull life, and I could stay in bed all day. And because to be honest, if I stayed in bed all day, I didn't have to run the risk of going out and bumping into someone that I owed money to. So yeah, waking up, making my bed, having a healthy breakfast is key for me. And then I like I like walking. I like going on. Walking's big in my recovery for me. Walking is big. I like to try and get 20,000 steps in a day, but and then there's something else that's going on which I'll touch on in a minute. But yeah, walking's key for me. Recovery groups are good for me. A Monday night, Thursday night, I have one to one calls with another lady. That's key for my recovery. And then like I touched on, learning about getting into this space of working with people with addictions key for me. I'm so keen on doing that. So that's what I'm doing as well. That's all key. I think close family and friends are key for me. Always communicating with them. And don't get me wrong, like we've touched on, some days you get bad days where something might not just go right, and you think, okay, no, this is shit. And then there could be a period of time where I don't want to speak to anyone. It's key that I still answer the phone, because if I don't answer the phone to, like, for example, my mum, my dad, my sister, or my close friends, I know that their brain's ticking. Why is he not answering the phone, and what's he up to? And I know that they get worried. They get worried that has he had a blip, has something annoyed him, and is he having them thoughts? And I think it's also like I touched on, you're not just we can't hide away from the fact that we come out of recovery and you're never gonna get an urge to gamble again. The triggers are never going to be. The triggers are never going to come. The triggers do come. The triggers do come, and I think it's very important to let it out and speak about it when you get a trigger. And I'll be honest, and I think it's a credit to myself of how well I'm doing in recovery, that I haven't had many triggers. I haven't had many triggers, but when they do, I have had a couple. But when they do come, I think it's key to talk about it. Um, and and I have spoken about it. And yeah, I think being being present and being active. Don't get me wrong. Everyone now and again loves a day on the sofa and whatnot. Do you know what I mean? I think being active and being present, staying communicating with the people that in your recovery circle and your family and friends is massive for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great advice for anyone in any position, whether they're struggling with anything or not, having like a daily routine. You mentioned walking. There's great, physical and mental health benefits just from walking. All of these things I think are good practice for everyone to implement. Now you hinted at you've got something else going on right now. I think is it some little project? Tell us about what that is.
Yeah, so decided that obviously I know it's a couple of months away. I know but I'm not oblivious to. I'm not oblivious that I'm going to be coming up to 1 year gamble free. Um, I thought to myself a few weeks ago, what can I do to give back to give back, and in a way, kind of say thank you to an organisation that I truly believe saved my life, and to raise awareness for gambling harm. So I thought to myself, what could I do? And like I touched on, I like walking. I like going out for walks. And so I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm going to try and raise money for this amazing charity that helped me save my life. And I'm gonna walk from my hometown to the West Midlands in Birmingham, where the rehab is. I'm gonna set off around about the 10th of November and aim to get there on the 13th, which will mark a year of me since I walked through the doors there on that day. It's around about 119 miles. So at the minute I'm still near enough every day chatting to people from that rehab and stuff, and still, yeah, we speak to people every day, and there's one person there that has done a lot of walking for charity, and we're in the process at the minute of planning the route, because obviously need to know like a destination that we're getting to every night, to obviously stay in accommodation and then to set off again the next day. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that. That's a massive thing coming up.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you got any kind of page set up yet where people can
Yeah, I
donate to
have.
it? You have?
Yeah, yeah. Of course, I can send that link over.
Yeah,
Um,
send that over. We'll put it in the description so people can get to that definitely.
Perfect. No, yeah, but but as you say, I think when you're saying about being in what have I got going on right now in it, kind of in recovery, and I think there's a lot to be aware of as well. What I'm doing and when I'm doing it. I'm not. I'll touch on. I come out of rehab in February, and and by the end of March, I started seeing a girl, and I thought, oh, this is amazing. I'm a new person, and whatnot, and yeah, look, my whole life's going great. Um, things were a bit. I think I kind of knew that I had taken things a little bit too fast at the start, and I kind of backed out a little bit. I was still so early on into recovery, and I was still trying to get my life sorted back home. Really, I hadn't been out for that long, so I kind of took a step back. Then we kind of called things on again, and um, and recently recently, things things have gone bad. Things have gone bad. For one reason, for a few reasons. That's no longer happening. Uh, she'd been seeing another guy behind my back, and it was a massive kick in the teeth for me. It was a massive kick in the teeth, and this was very, very recently. And it was something that I think a very long time ago would have um, could have led me back to gambling, because you shut everyone off. You shut everyone off, and you want to be on your own, and you're feeling low in yourself, and that could easily have led me back to gambling. I'm strong enough to open up to the people who are close to me, and which are my family, and I've got some close friends around me, and I managed to get the right support that I needed from them, and I got the right support. Uh, Therapists that I still speak to, the people at Gordon Moody, and I got the right support that I needed. So I think what I'm trying to say is it's very important now that I'm in recovery of who I let in my life,
Yeah.
and not to just let anyone in my life, because things thing, things can take a turn in recovery. You know that. You probably speak to a lot of people that say that things can easily just take a turn, and it can lead you down that dark and lonely road, and that is somewhere that I'm not prepared to be. Like I touched on, I really love life now. I really enjoy life, and I'm not prepared to go back down that road for anyone.
Yeah. Now that's huge. That's a huge test, and for you to have that happen to you and to continue on your recovery, I think that's a huge thing. So, congratulations for that again. I think that's a big achievement. Um, Listen, we're running out of time, but one thing I need to ask you before you go, there's going to be tons of people out there that are in a similar situation to what you were, and that maybe aren't yet at the point where they're going to ask for help, or they need help, or maybe they're close to that point. What would your advice be to people that are in that kind of situation?
Um, my advice would be, if you're out there, you're struggling with gambling, you're struggling in addiction, um, be brave, reach out for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. There is help out there, and believe me that I I never thought that I would change my life around. I never thought that I could get on a road to change my life around. Even when I walked through them doors of the rehab, there was no way that I thought 14 weeks of near on 14 years of gambling could help me. But there is some amazing people out there. There is some amazing help that you can get. Pick up the phone, go on the internet, type in whatever you need to type in to get that help, and believe in yourself. There's a better life out there than being stuck in addiction.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. I think that's great advice. We've had a couple of episodes on addiction recently. I think one of the things that's come through is that you're never alone. There's always people in similar situations, and there's always a way back. No matter, where people have hit rock bottom, that there's always a way back to it. So yeah, I think that's absolutely great advice. Listen, Taylor, thank you so much for giving us your time. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah, no
Um,
problem. Thank you for having me on.
it's been an absolute pleasure. And as I said, I will put the link in the description so people can donate to your charity walk. For that, it's going to a great cause. And thank you to everyone for listening, and we'll see you again next week. Until then, let's get optimal together.